The morning sun was just beginning to tickle the peaks of the Emerald Mountains, but Brock was already 3 miles into his endurance route. The only sounds were the rhythmic thud-thud of his sneakers on the cobblestones and his own high-fiber breathing. 1, 2, 1, 2. Breathe, Brock, breathe. Brock slowed his pace to a halt, his breath coming in rhythmic puffs of steam. Stay crunchy, Brock, breathe. That's not just air. That's oxygen-enriched fertilizer for the soul, he wished to himself, wiping a bit of sweat from his forehead. Now let's finish strong. 10 more blocks. If you can't outrun a radish, you don't deserve the whistle. Here we go. Just as he prepared to launch back into his sprint, a voice as bright as a tropical sunrise chirped from behind him. Hello, Brock. Is that the morning glow I see? Or are you just exceptionally vibrant today? Brock froze. He knew that voice. It was melodic. It was sweet. And it was currently his greatest tactical threat. He turned to find Miss Pennyapple fluttering toward him, her pineapple crown tilted perfectly, looking radiant enough to make a sunflower jealous. Oh, hey, Miss Pennyapple, Brock greeted, standing up straight and summoning his best gentlemanly posture. You're up early? Is the caffeine already calling? Always, she laughed, joining him on the cobblestone street. But tell me, coach, what does the Iron Floret have planned for the evening? Surely you're not just going to rest after work? Brock's internal alarm bells began to chime. Well, I was planning on reviewing some defensive drills for the Sprouts and perhaps— Perfect, she interrupted, her eyes sparkling with a terrifyingly creative light. Because I have just finalized a brand new top-secret recipe for your absolute favorite, the CHOW Puccino. I'm calling it the Tropical Thunderstorm. It's got espresso, coconut-infused sea salt, and just a hint of fermented durian for personality. At the mention of fermented durian, the color drained from Brock's face so fast he looked like a head of steamed cauliflower. A cold sweat broke out across his back, not from the 3-mile jog, but from the vivid memory of her last innovation that had made him taste sounds for 3 days. Miss Pennyapple tilted her head, her smile turning to a look of innocent concern. Brock, you've gone quite pale. Are you quite alright, dear? Oh, yes, Brock stammered, his heart hammering against his ribs like a trapped bird. Just exhausted. This morning's jog was particularly challenging. In his mind, a frantic war was being waged. Say no, Brock, his brain screamed. Tell her the truth. Tell her your taste buds are still in recovery. Remember the mantra. The truth will set you free, he shouted internally, bracing himself. He took a deep breath, looked her in the eye, and prepared to deliver a polite, firm refusal. Miss Pennyapple, said Brock in a firm tone. Yes, Brock, replied Miss Pennyapple, anxiously waiting for Brock's answer. Brock's brain shouted, This is it! The time has come. This is your moment. And it commanded Brock's mouth to say, I simply cannot. My schedule is full, and my stomach is fearful. But as he looked at her hopeful, radiant face, the gentleman's glitch took over. His mouth bypassed his brain entirely. "I simply cannot wait to try it," Brock blurted out, his voice cracking slightly. "Yes, I would be honored. In fact, I'm so excited I can barely contain myself. I've been thinking about nothing but fermented fruit coffee all morning." With lie after lie piling up in what Brock felt like the longest second in his life, the world went dark. The lies hung in the air like a heavy fog. "Wonderful!" Miss Pennyapple beamed, clapping her hands, snapping Brock out of his darkest moment. "After work then, don't be late. The foam is at its peak at 5. I'll be there with bells on," Brock promised, waving a stiff hand as she turned to skip toward her shop. He watched her disappear around the corner, his hands still frozen in a wave. The silence of the cobblestone street returned, broken only by the distant chirp of a bird. Brock slumped his shoulders, his face falling into his hands. "Oh my, what have I done?" he whispered to the Emerald Mountains. "Again, I've done it again." The door to Miss Pennyaple's shop chimed, a cheerful tinkling sound that, to Brock's ears, sounded suspiciously like a funeral bell. The interior was draped in the warm glow of hanging lanterns and evening sunlight. The air was thick with a scent that could only be described as an espresso bean having a midlife crisis in a tropical jungle. Brock's face turned pale. His mind screamed louder with every step forward. It took pure sheer will to stop his legs from running in the other direction. His eyesights were getting blurry, and then, "Brock, you're just in time," Miss Pennyapple chirped, emerging from behind the espresso machine. "The fermentation reached peak aroma just 3 minutes ago." Brock approached the counter, his knees weakening. "Miss Pennyapple, it smells very pleasant. It certainly occupies the room." "Doesn't it?" she beamed, placing a heavy ceramic mug on the counter in front of Brock. The tropical thunderstorm cappuccino was a sight to behold. The foam was a swirling vortex of deep purple and neon orange. A faint greenish steam hissed from the surface, and a single menacing slice of durian sat on the rim, looking glorious. "I added a pinch of volcanic ash for the thunder effect," Miss Pennyapple whispered. "Go on, tell me I'm a genius." Brock stared into the mug. His reflection in the purple foam looked back at him with pleading eyes. "Don't do it," his brain whispered. "You have so much to live for. Think of the sprouts. Just say it's too hot. Just say it's too hot. The truth will set you free." He looked up, his lips trembling. His brain told his mouth to say, "Miss Pennyapple, this looks like a science experiment gone wrong, and I value my internal organs." Then, with renewed determination, Brock took a big, deep breath. "Here goes nothing. It looks visionary," Brock heard himself say, his voice an octave higher than usual. "The ash is a stroke of Sheer brilliance! Down the hatch! And before his brain could mount a physical intervention, Brock took a massive heroic gulp. And time stopped. First came the sea salt, hitting his tongue like a tidal wave. Then the fermented durian exploded, flavor profile that tasted like a sweaty gym locker. Finally, the volcanic ash provided a gritty, crackling sensation that made his teeth feel like they were participating in a small riot. Brock's eyes bulged. His forehead stiffened until they were rock hard. He didn't just taste the coffee. He experienced it. For a brief, terrifying second, he was fairly certain he could see very bright lights. Then a voice brought him back to life. "Well?" Miss Pennyapple asked, leaning in with bated breath. "Is it a masterpiece?" Brock fought the urge to collapse. He forced a strained, terrifyingly wide smile, though a single tear escaped and rolled down his cheek. It's unforgettable," he choked out, his voice sounding like it was being filtered through a kazoo. "I've never felt more awake or more aware of my own soul. Truly, a genius at work." "I knew it," she squealed, clapping her hands. "I'll wrap up a thermos for you to take home." "Oh, no, I couldn't. I wouldn't want to deprive the other Chowians of such art," Brock gasped, running awkwardly toward the door with surprising speed. "See you tomorrow, Miss Pennyapple." He practically fell out of the shop and stumbled onto the cobblestones, the cool night air of CHOW hitting his face. He stood there for a moment, staring at his hands, which were now glowing a very faint shade of violet. Brock's knees gave up and he slumped into the cobblestones, looking defeated.